Hey everyone, welcome to Know Your Gear QA live Friday, number 74. That's right. Every Friday, we all hang out and talk about the week. And before we start, I just want to do a quick shout out, especially this week, to some patrons, because I did my patron hangouts this week. And a lot of times, the first time somebody does a hangout with me on the patron, I think they think I'm kidding when they're 8 hours long. They are 8 hours for the main QA and hangout, and then 5 hours for the roundtable, which is the I don't want to say top tier, but the highest tier of the patrons. Anyways, real quick shout out to a lot of you: Bradulus, Jeff Howe, Zachary Rowe, Michael Newman, Bruce, and the One Blood We Band, Canner Gunson, John Jex, Michael Shy, Justin May, David Madison, Lawrence Petros from LPD Pedals, James Biles, Robert Books, Tim Camacho, Robert Hodges, Steve Pinna, Paul Ostrick, Michael Lidner, Joe Watson, Gregor, Jonathan Pickering, Bob Pickwood, Tim, just Tim. No last name needed there. Just Tim. We all know who Tim is. John Levitt, Space Jazz, Pedal Pal Effects, of course, Ricky Robinson, Chuck Keene, Chris Glaze, Dylan 87, Russ from Taurus Pedals, Brian Stewart, Lee Hawkins, Kermit Jackson, Steve Pinna, Bob Crosley, Aaron Anthony, Daniel Psychic, Andrew Good, Billy Robinson, Anthony Desposito, BB Ninja, Tony, and William Donaldson. Isn't it great that I actually have a cap on how many people can do that? Because I'm sure this would be a very long intro if I didn't. There's a cap. That's as many people as can be on that list. But again, I did want to thank everybody for hanging out this week. That's was some great hangouts, and you helped me a lot get ready for a lot of cool things. Hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. I have a new mic, and I think it's set up correctly. We'll see, and that way I don't have to wear my headphones. So we'll see how this goes. We're going to get some questions and have some great announcements this week. I want to do a little mix of both. Before I get some questions, these announcements are actually fun announcements. First thing I want to point out is that I'm going to be on Cheddar Kung Pao's live show on Sunday, same time, kind of 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, hanging out. I have no idea what's going to happen. I think I don't know if he's going to ask me some crazy questions or if we're just going to talk about guitars whatever it is, just, we're going to be doing that. So I thought that'd be a nice announcement to make. And I have some other ones, but we'll get to some questions because there's already a few hundred of us on here and we got some cool stuff to talk about. What do we got going on? What do we got here? Let's see. Nathaniel says, hey, he just bought an EVH Satin Red Special, but it was set up half step down. Oh, yeah, right. With heavier gauge strings. That makes sense because, bigger strings are typically better for down-tuned, especially even if it's just a half a step. Haven't even messed with the Floyd before, but I can't get the D Tuna to properly work. Any tips? Yes. That's a great question because I actually have a buddy who's I dare say a D Tuna expert. I just don't know if he's actually got a video on that. His name is Dave Nesdell. If you guys are familiar with the Johnny Bean channel, I've been on there a few times. They're definitely the EVH guys. Nathaniel, I'm going to put a link to those guys. I can answer the question for you, but I would rather send you to someone who loves and is totally immersed in everything that is EVH and that guitar. And they might have a video. If not, we'll figure it out together and I'll do a video. But those guys are definitely the guys to ask about anything D Tuna. They are the masters of EVH. So I hope that helps as well. Let's see what else you guys got going on. Okay. Let's see what's happening, everybody. Hello, guitar dudes and dudettes. You guys are just talking to each other. Hey, that might actually be this might be a better live show. I'll just read what you guys are saying. Let's see. Now, Daniel's got a great comment, and I'd like to talk about it. Daniel says, dude, can I just say that I think you're truly the most, I think he means unbiased reviewer. He said unbiased, but I understand the typo. I do it all the time. Unbiased reviewer on YouTube. Keep up the good work, Danny from England. Danny, I appreciate that. It feels good that you said that. And I just want to kind of add to this. a theory that I have. I believe, it's just a belief system, that everyone is biased, including myself. Everybody's biased. You can't help it. You know what I mean? On something, right? My whole thing on my channel is I want to let you guys know what my bias is. I want you to just know it's not that I ever claim to be unbiased. You know, everything I try to be open-minded, and that leads you to be very unbiased. But I just want you guys to know, you know, what it is and why I think the way I am. So in other words, if a company sent me something, obviously there's going to be some bias there. They sent me something. If I bought it, there's going to be some bias there because I purchased it, and I might be apprehensive to tell everybody that's a bad idea because I bought it. And maybe because I really believe it was a really good idea. But again, I see your point. I just want to add to that because I think a lot of YouTube channels out there are great. In fact, the ones I love the most are the ones that are biased, but you know what the bias is. You know, does that make sense? Like, I love it when somebody's like, I know what their agenda is, and knowing that helps me understand what I'm hearing as information. Sometimes I've been horribly let down by sometimes by thinking that somebody was giving me opinion based on something else. Like, in other words, another point of view, and then find out later that's not what the thing was. So, but yes, I still appreciate the comment. Luke says, hey, Phil, what's up? First time catching you live. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that. What do you think of diamond amps? My whole rig is diamond, guitar amp and guitar cab. Well, diamond amps are obviously Jeff Diamont, has diamond amps. I'm not a big fan of their small one. It was okay. A lot of the bigger ones, I haven't really played a lot of their amps, but the one or two I have played have been great. There's actually one on a smoke and deal in my local Guitar Center. I think they're asking like $6.99 for it, down from $1,000 used. But good quality stuff. There has never been, I don't think, a question about the quality of the diamond amps. So I think if you're into diamond amps, they're just a great quality, you know, made in the USA amp, high gain, good stuff. Okay, let's take a look. What else do we got going on? Sergeant Power Wiener says, loving the room. Can't wait for the Restring event. Okay, that's a good segue to talk about that. If you guys haven't seen, I'm doing a Restring event. I'd like to announce that. It's going to be Saturday the 28th. That's not tomorrow, but the following Saturday in Glendale, Arizona at the Sam Ash. It is from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. That is correct. That is 10 hours. I will be there restringing guitars. If you guys saw the video this week where it says my Restring tackle box, in that video, there's a lot of discussion about this event. It is free. It is sponsored by Addario. In other words, that they're paying for the strings. So the strings are provided. I have asked them to give everyone NYXLs for electric and nickel bronze for acoustic. You can buy whatever strings, use whatever you want, but you'll get a free pack regardless. And those are some expensive, nice strings. All the service is free. I'll just be there hanging out with you guys. It's just there. I just want to hang out with you guys. I get to hang out with you every week doing this, reading comments. This will be a way for me to hang out and maybe help some of you with your guitars. And maybe some of you just want to say hi and get your free restring and some insight on your guitars. So there you go. You don't have to do anything. Just show up and be happy, right? Hopefully everybody will be in a good mood. Paul's got a question. It says, hey, Phil, is the PRS MT15 made in the US? No, it's made in China. So can you see behind me? I'm sorry. I'm not looking at myself every time. There's right there. Yeah, it's made in China. That's why it's $650. Made in the US, we already know. Like, look at the, I think a good example would be the Mesa Boogie mini rec is made in the USA. It's $1,000. So I would think PRS would have to be comparable. So $1,000 made in the USA, $650 made in China. I can tell you this. I think it's going to do well. Let's just say that. I really believe it's going to do well as an amp. The reason is it seems like everybody I've shown it to has told me flat out they want to buy one. And in fact, half of the people, or if not more of my friends that I've showed it to, I've already bought one. It's an impressive amp for the price point. So I'm working on a review. Part of the whole of the review is the fact that they are backlogged. So it's a little tough for me to really kind of, hey, everybody, check this amp out. You can't get one right now so I'm trying to get a handle of all the stuff. But maybe that shouldn't matter. Maybe I should just do it. Let's check real quick. And Buzz Wilson says, thoughts on caramelized and roasted necks? Are they hype? I don't know if they're hype. You know, I hear people tell me it's funny. It's like, I love how polarized everything gets. To me, it's like I picked up roasted maple necks and I like them. They feel good. They sound good. I've heard, you know, negative things. I've heard that they can crack. I've heard all kinds of silly things. You know, I don't know. It's probably true. I know they're not fun to work with when they're first working with, but I think it's a good idea. I think there's a reason why Suhr and Music Man are working with the idea. I think there's a lot of benefits to it. I definitely see the benefit in less expensive guitars because you can take pieces of wood and thoroughly make sure they're dry, and that's going to be a big deal. So yeah, I don't think it's hype. I think they're good. Do I think they should charge a lot of money for them? No, I don't think that's, I hope that's not where they go. That's where I think hype gets into it. I would really hate to see in the future that caramelized, as you put it, or roasted maple necks become this thing that there's a huge add-on in price and it becomes more expensive to do it that way. So it definitely seems to be winning the race because I see more and more roasted maple necks from the companies that make them. So it makes you wonder, like the companies like Suhr and Music Man that are making roasted maple necks, are they getting so many more orders? Or are they just pushing that agenda? I don't know, but I definitely see where they're both making more and more roasted maple necks each month, each year. So next one is Phil. Any help on smoothing out a rosewood fretboard that has raised grains? Oh yeah, humidify, oil. No, neither. The guitar came from up north, and I live in the south. Thank you. You know what, Alex? Interesting enough, if you heard me mention a couple weeks ago, I bought a new Strat, and I loved it, which is that Burgundy Mist Strat. It's out of shot right now, I think. Yeah, it's out of this frame. That's what's wrong with my guitar. Is that, and I was going to correct it. I'm going to correct it. Didn't think about actually doing a video about that. Maybe I'll do a video for that and show you. That would probably be a good idea. I haven't done it because I haven't had time. I really want to do it today or tomorrow, maybe tonight if I get time, or if not tomorrow. So I'll put a GoPro on that and give you some insight of how I'm going to do that. So thank you, Alex. Thank you for that question because that's something I just think I wouldn't have thought that anybody else had the problem. I thought it was pretty unique, but yes, I'm having the same problem. It really does not feel right. So I've corrected it many times in the past, and I have a little trick for it that I like. So I'll share it with you. Analog Mesa Man. Analog Mesa Man said, interested in PRS McCarty or 24. Nowhere can I play one. Bit nervous because I hate a skinny neck. Thoughts? I play Tool Deftones. Here's the easy part, man. Analog Mesa Man. If you don't like skinny necks, stay away from the Custom 24 unless it's a pattern regular. The McCarty is going to be the thing for you. That's going to give you that chunky neck. There's some benefits to chunky necks. I was just showing. So Lawrence Petros took me to lunch today. Man, we had lunch, and thank you again, Lawrence. I think he's out there talking. He bought me lunch today, and funny story was we were talking about two things. One, I want to share with you because I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'm supposed to share it or if it's the right time to share it, but he took the 87 pedal and he's made some revisions to it. Nothing in the quality, just some in the process, how he makes it. He brought the price down to $199. I'll put a link when I do the index. So that pedal was $250. As you guys know, I love the 87, but maybe some of you guys don't know this, but one of my apprehensions was that it was slightly priced higher than some of its competitors. But I thought, you know, it's handmade. It's Lawrence, you know, it's great. But man, at $199, it's great. I really apologize to Lawrence right now if I link you guys to his reverb and to get that pedal and find out that he wasn't ready for that. But if he is, hey, check it out. It's $199. But why does that tie into what I was just saying about with the comment was, you know, I just got sidetracked, Analog Man. We were talking, oh yeah, McCarty, thick necks. It has been raining where I'm at. It's really humid right now. And in fact, you can't tell. That's why I'm wearing a hat, because my hair is all frizzy from the humidity. I'm just kidding. Bad jokes. Anyways, and all my guitars are sharp. In fact, he was saying the same thing. All his guitars are sharp right now. And of course, all the necks have pitched back and all the strings are laying on the fretboards and unplayable, except for, of course, my 594. And it was because the neck is thick. And I've noticed this a lot when necks move on all your guitars from big humidity changes where, like I said, Arizona, where it's super dry, and to have a week or so of, you know, humidity like this really messes with everything. It's funny how the thicker necks really don't get it. They don't have the issue like the thinner necks. So something to think about. So just as I just thought it'd be a good point to mention the pro of a versus the con of a thicker neck, where it's a little harder to play because it's a little thicker to some people. This is there's some stability there that you get. So oh, Drew Smith, good question. When are the Lefty t-shirts coming out? I will ask my wife. I asked her about this. I said, isn't it just as simple? Just flip the images. And she explained that's not the case. Not with, I don't know, maybe it is, or I don't know, but soon, very, 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 very soon. I just want to make Lefty versions of all the shirts and have that as available. I just think it's cool. I like the idea that everybody has like their own version of their shirt. And in fact, the only thing I could say is we won't have Lefty versions. This is a question everybody had about the stickers. We have the stickers now. And I'll put a link. You guys have been awesome, by the way. Definitely keeping us busy mailing out stickers, because we mail these out ourselves. And I thank you so much for all the comments on Reverb about the picks, because we've been throwing in some picks and doing some fun stuff. And guys, thank you so much. But the stickers, we'll have different versions of stickers, but it won't be like Lefties or different guitars. This will be the logo, and then there'll be a different logo and different stuff. But just because the stickers aren't really, I mean, you can imagine there's not a whole lot of profit in stickers. This is really just about sharing. I'll have some stickers to give away at the event too, but when you make like, I don't know, whatever, $1 for a bunch of stickers, it's not like, you're going to make a windfall, but so it's harder to do more dramatic stuff like it is with the t-shirts and stuff, but we'll do Lefty shirts, I promise. And then here's a great one from Alazar. Says, does it bug you that Suhr looks just like Fenders? No, that doesn't bug me. The reason is I don't think that stuff comes into play. By that logic, does it bug me that PRS guitars sometimes look like Gibsons, or that Ibanez guitars look like Jacksons, or Fenders, or Jacksons look like, let's be honest, there's just only so many versions of guitars can there be. No, it doesn't equate to me. In other words, it doesn't trigger anything in me to go, oh, I hate that. So it's a good question to ask you guys out there. Does it bug you? I don't find it, odd. In fact, I think it actually kind of funny how it all works. Here's a thing for me. Some of the Suhrs I always thought looked like Fenders, Tellys, and Strats, and some of them look like Ibanez's. And then, but with their own kind of flair. And then the new AZ Ibanez's look more like Suhrs. So it's kind of funny. It seems like it works that way, right? One company copies another one, and eventually that company copies that company. And if it's not that way, it's definitely perceived that way. So, nice guy Eddie says, Phil, have you ever played a Parker bass guitar? Yes, I have. My thoughts? It was very expensive. Obviously, don't make them anymore. But the ones I picked up, there was one I fell in love with at the NAMM show. Loved it. But I think the dealer cost on it was like $4,500, and I was just like, I can't do it. But really cool. They're weirder looking because I got those longer extended horns, and there's a lot of import versions. So something to be aware of on the Parker basses. Sometimes you find them on eBay and maybe Reverb in the $700-800 range, and sometimes $1,000 range. You understand those are import basses. Those aren't like made in America at that price. So I think sometimes people think like, oh, it's a good deal, $1,000 made in the USA. But no, if they're in that lower price range, they're probably import. The American ones are crazy. So, and then Alan's saying, hey, my Suhr Classic Pro TS doesn't look like any Fender I've ever looked at. Yeah, I don't think that was the point, Alan. I think the point wasn't that all Suhrs look like Fenders. I think he was kind of pointing out that some Suhrs kind of look like Fenders. That's just typical. A lot of stuff look like Fenders. Think about this. Here's my question. Does it bug you guys that every acoustic looks like a Martin? Not every, but you know what I mean? The majority, it doesn't, after some point you have to kind of like look at it differently a little bit, at least in my mind. Okay. Caesar Preto says, ugliest headstocks got to be those McMull guitars. That's a tough one for ugliest headstock. I don't know if they could win ugliest headstock. They're definitely boring because it looks like a Fender and they just sawed off a piece. But somebody could like that. I didn't like Fender headstocks forever. I thought they were kind of ugly. and I mean forever and ever. I didn't like them, and then they just grew on me. There's a that's typical, so you know. So people that don't like things, the more you see it, the more you kind of like after a while it just becomes this thing you like. Brian Stewart just said, "Hey, beer money, try McGowan's Scotch Ale." Oh, well, I had to say that out loud so I can check it. So Matthew King says, just bought an Ibanez AZ 224F off of Reverb, took it in for a setup, and they told me the neck was twisted. Okay, should I try for a refund, file a warranty claim with Ibanez, or try to have it repaired? Okay, so if you just bought it and it's not used, okay, so if it's used and you just bought it, maybe send it back. Start there. If it's new, definitely don't get it repaired. Get it replaced. The other thing is this. You know how when you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you something's wrong and you go and get a second opinion? Sometimes it's a good idea to get a second opinion on your guitar. So twisted necks, in my experience, majority, I couldn't tell you, man. I'm going to guess 7 out of 10 people that told me a neck is twisted when they came in was not twisted. So there's just something about that. Twisted necks are not extremely obvious all the time. Sometimes there's other things in play going on. So my point is that if somebody tells you a neck's twisted, get a second opinion first. That's the first thing. Hopefully you have 2 shops you can bounce to, and don't tell the second shop that you were told the neck is twisted. Just tell them, ask them if they think it is, or you know what I mean? You know how not to lead somebody down a road because you don't want them to go, oh yeah, it's definitely twisted, right? So there you go. And the reason I say that too is one thing that you got to understand, and this is my personal experience as a customer. I've taken guitars to shops over, because I've been playing guitar now for a long time. I've taken guitars to shops and not realized until later that the person I took it to was, like we were talking about earlier, it was biased. Maybe the technician doesn't like Ibanez's. Maybe they think they're junk. So I've had that happen. Maybe the store was insulted that you bought it somewhere else. I'm not accusing anybody of those things. Just factor that stuff in. Then once you've confirmed that it is twisted, send it back. But here's the thing. Don't have it fixed. I really don't think anyone that buys anything new should have to have it fixed. So I think if you buy new, then you get new. That's how that works. If they want to fix it, but give you a discount and adjust it correctly for that, and you're willing to do that, take that in consideration. I've done that me personally, like, get something that has a blemish and, and they're like, we'll give you some money off. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine with that. But if you want it to be new, you paid for new, get new. You deserve the service. It's your hard-earned work, your hard-earned money. And sometimes it's nice to hear a friend say that. So as your friend, I'm telling you, you deserve to get the best guitar possible because you paid the right price. You know what I mean? You paid the price, get the right product. So, but also get a second opinion, because here's why. That will help you later finding out if that shop knew what they were talking about or not. Even if they're a trusted shop, everybody makes a mistake too. It happens. So, you know what I mean? It's just how it works. Okay. What else do we got? I got some super chats, but I'm going to try to jump around and find some cool questions and then hit the super chats in between. So here's one. Don't know what it is, but we'll jump into it. It says, hey, Phil, do you know any Fender CS Strats that have a satin-ish finish instead of the sturdy, so Custom Shop Strats that have the sturdy nitro or polyurethane lacquer? Thanks in advance. The Custom Shop Strats have, in my opinion, the Fender Custom Shop Strats have been really turning into this really just, you buy beat up Strats, relic Strats. That's not that's kind of a big brush stroke that I don't like to, make on anything, but it is kind of what I'm doing. But the majority of the Custom Shop Strats, to me, Custom Shop Fender isn't custom shop. It's just high end. Does that make sense? Like, I think Custom Shop, I get whatever I want. So to me, you can call Fender and go, hey, this is what I want. So as your question that have satinish finish instead of the nitro or the polyurethane lacquer, you should be able to get what you want. But in my experience, most of the Strats that come out of the Custom Shop are now, especially, you get more and more of their lacquer and they're kind of relic. So in my experience. Okay. Yeah, Jason Bone, just as it ties in, says nitro is not sturdy. Well, there's a reason why. I mean, Jason, nitro was what they were using. That's lacquer for everybody else. They were using lacquer on the original Gibsons and Fenders, and then we went to polyurethane because it, a lot of reasons. One, there's some EPA regulations that had to be, out there, and there's some safety concerns. So, for people and their health when they were working in the facilities that make this stuff, and then also it wears and it fades and it yellows. And now we look back and we think that looks cool how it's yellow and faded and stuff, but a lot of times back in the day, people didn't think it was cool. They bought this new thing, and a couple years later, it looked worn out, and they wanted it to look newer. So polyurethanes kind of came into play. Yeah, nitro is not sturdy. In fact, that's why a lot of companies have gone back to nitro as a custom shop or as a high-end thing to kind of capture the original way things were. So I've said this for years. I really think Fender in whole, just to pick on them, Fender charges the more they make a guitar like they originally did, the more it tends to cost. And my logic on that is think about just think about made in Mexico. Now you have a Player Series Strat, and that's $600. But if you get the 50s or 60s reissues, those cost more. And then if you get those nitro lacquer made in Mexico, those even cost more. And then if you go to American Strats, like a professional, those are more than those because they're made in America. But then if you go back to the 50s, 60s again, the price goes up. But then if you go to custom shop, not only because it's custom shop, but it's made more like they originally were. It's like I said, it seems to be, if you're going to look for a continuity there, Fender seems to get more expensive the more you get, and that Fender, maybe Gibson too. But anyways, the more you get towards the original, the more that it is like it is what originally made and looks, the more it tends to cost. So somebody asked me about the Line 6 Power Cab and the thoughts. I have not tried it at all. I have just recently read an email this morning from one of you, the viewers, who reached out to Line 6 about letting me borrow a Helix. I have that information. I got to reach out to them now. So hopefully we'll get a Helix to review and check out. But I don't know about the Power Cab. I don't know what to say yet. So I'd really like to do some of those reviews. I'm really curious about the product. I'm really curious what I think, how I'll feel about it. So hopefully we can make some cool videos and learn some stuff. All right. Steerflex says, "Hey, love the channel. Keep it up. Hello from New York." Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Chuck M Music says, "Marshall DSL 20HR," so the head, right? So the 20-watt head, or Hughes and Kittner Tube Meister, or Jet City for mid-gain tones for the studio. Man, those are tough because those are, ironically, those aren't three different amps. Those are three totally different amps. The Jet City, and Jet City, depending on the Jet City you're talking about, there's one that is based off of the more of the SLO kind of channel, and then there's one built off of like the what's the reverb amp they have channel. So it's tough. So, but for mid gain tones in the studio, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to keep it easy because those kind of questions are always tough. I can't guess. So I'll just tell you, if I was presented with those three options, what would I pick? You said Hughes and Kittner Tube Meister. I like the Grandmeister 40 that I have. The Tube Meister was good, but I like the Grandmaster more. But of those three, I would probably pick the Marshall DSL 20 HR head with reverb. That's probably where I'd go, but the Jet City would be the second, and then the Tube Meister with third. And it's funny because I really like my Hughes and Kittner, and I like the Hughes and Kittner guys. So it's always funny how it works out. You know, you always kind of feel bad. Of those three companies, I have the best relationship with Hughes and Kittner, but just in, you know, to be honest, that's the rate which way I would pick them. Brimble Guitar says, "I have a Martin acoustic that looks like someone splashed juice inside. Can see it in the sound hole. Recommendations to clean." Oh, that's tough because all of the wood inside your acoustic. Now that's another problem too. I need to know what Martin you have. You might have because Martin makes acoustics that are made of Formica, so it's not wood. That's easy. You can probably use anything, just a damp cloth, and clean all that up. But if it's wood inside there, you cannot use anything, water, anything like that. What I would suggest if you're gonna try, and again, this is tough because I'm giving advice without seeing the guitar and no visual aids. But what I would recommend is a very light amount of some kind of recommended polish or oil by Martin on a cloth to maybe kind of loosen up that the what you think is juice, whatever it is. It could be anything spilled in there, and clean it up. But there you go. And then I would also defer to maybe calling Martin, because sometimes what you don't realize is when you call Martin, it's not their first time hearing this problem. You know what I mean? Customer service departments are sometimes really set up to answer a question that's happened many times over. I can't imagine it's the first time somebody's tried to clean the inside of acoustic. I've never really had the problem. The only thing I've ever had with cleaning the inside of acoustic is sometimes the labels get dirty or have problems, and I've cleaned those up. And those are tricky because sometimes they're paper and sometimes they're foil. Foil's easy, but paper gets a little tricky because you're going to ruin it. But what I've learned is a little bit of elbow grease and very little to no moisture content in the rag. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna cause as many problems as it fixes. Sean Brown says, opinion on the Ibanez Tube Screamer amplifier. Well, I can tell you this: if I could own, if you theoretically just own all the amplifiers that you like, that would be one in my collection. I really liked it. It's just kind of at some point you realize, like, you can't have every amplifier. It's like I have to let something go to get something. There's not only is it the financial issues, but then there's space, so it's an amp I appreciate a lot. I like it a lot. And sorry, I just need something to swallow. The other thing is, some of the amps, like my Mark V Mini and stuff that are more expensive, I already have those amps. The Tube Screamer, I think what's nice about that amp is I really feel like it really holds its own with a lot of amps that are a lot more expensive. So that's what's really impressive about it. It's definitely an amp I could recommend to somebody saying, hey, for the price it sits in, you're definitely getting what I feel is more amp than what you're paying for. So, here's a good one. Tweet Cadillac just did a super chat. I just want to say thank you for that, because that was pretty cool of you. But I'm not doing these in order. I'm just trying to find cool questions, and I'm going to go back to the main questions in a second. I just want to do Mark's question. Mark says, can I plug a Blues Junior into a Marshall 212 cab? Yes, you can. Absolutely. What you have to do is you have to figure out the ohms. On the Blues Junior, there's two outputs. So you can actually keep the internal speaker and then run a separate output. You need to look in the manual to see what the ohms are. My concern would be the internal speaker, off guessing, would probably be 8 ohms. And the 212 cabinet that Marshall puts out, if it's a 1936, is probably 8 ohms. Mono. So I don't know if the amp can go to 4 ohms. So you'd have to look internally in the manual, so you could run all three speakers, the bottom cabinet, top. But here's the good news. If you unplug that internal speaker of the Blues Junior, you can run a cable from there's a plug right inside the amp. You'll find it. Just make sure the amp is off. Plug the speaker cable to your 212 cabinet, and make sure your 212 cabinet is either at 16 or 8 ohms. And either way would be safe for the Blues Junior to continue going. 4 ohms, you definitely want to consult the manual. I just can't remember if the Blues Junior could do 4 ohms. Fender, like, it's tough. Sometimes the Fender amps get a little tricky. Like the Bass 59 does 2 ohms, some crazy thing like that. It's not even 4 ohms, it's like 2. So, but off of memory with my Blues Junior, running into an 8 ohm 212 Marshall, no problem. If you have the lower price 212 Marshall, it'll probably be a 16 ohm cabinet. Again, you're safe. So, and it will sound, so the result will be, it's going to sound better. The Blues Junior is the amp. I can't figure out why they never made a head. That's the amp they should make a head. I always thought the Blues Junior sounds better through a bigger cabinet. There's even, if you go to Mojo Tone and other companies on eBay, but Mojo Tone does great stuff, you can buy an oversized Blues Junior 112 combo cab and load the chassis into that, or get the 212 cabinet or 210. But for a lot cheaper, you can just plug it into a 212 cabinet. For those of you guys that are Blues Junior fans. Okay, where are we at? There's a lot of us all of a sudden. We just all started getting here. Okay. Let's hit some questions. I'm just looking for some interesting ones. What do you guys got going on? I haven't used somebody. Andrew wants to know if I ever used Dragonfire pickups. Not that I remember. They don't sound familiar to me, either using them or putting them on anything. What's funny is, so here's another one. Richard says, hey, Brewbreaker says, any thoughts on the J&D Brothers guitars? What's funny is, man, this is kind of like it always shocks me how many companies there are, because like so many products, like my nose is always into some kind of catalog, magazine, online research, and I'm looking at gear like all day. And even then you guys pull out stuff and I'm like, how did I miss that? so that's a great, it's great that you know what I mean? It's kind of makes it fun that there's no end to this madness. All right. What else do we got? Okay. Hold on a second. I'm just reading, guys. I'm sorry to pause, but so D says, how do you make a 112 combo into a 212? It's pretty simple. It's not a problem at all. You just buy the cabinet. So, you know, a lot of companies offer that as an aftermarket. They sell a 212 cabinet that allows you to rack in or put in the chassis of the other amp. You can just Google it. I'll put a link after I index this. Just go ahead and go to Mojotone. Mojotone's like a good place to start to seeing stuff like that. They make quality stuff, amazing stuff. And you can do all kinds of fun stuff. You can turn amps into other kind of amps. So it's not uncommon. So I think stuff like that's cool, because I'm obviously a big proponent because at home, I love a small wattage amplifier through a bigger cabinet. To me, that's what I'm looking for. It fills up a lot of sound, and I can crank the amp a little harder. Everything just kind of works for me in that situation. So, okay. Inkafish 23 says, was at Guitar Center and really impressed with the Squier Infinity Strat neck. Thoughts on the quality of the neck and the bodies of Squier Strats? So Squier Strats, for me, it's like cheap guitars, low price guitars, inexpensive guitars, whatever you want to call these guitars. I don't mean to insult anybody's guitars, but to me, price point friendly guitars like Squier guitars. I look at it, I hear it all the time. Somebody will say, hey, this brand, let's do Harley Benton. Harley Benton is I can't believe Harley Benton's better than a Squier. You know what it is for inexpensive guitars? For me, any guitar can be a good guitar on accident. Even if they make crap, even if a company makes crappy guitars, you make 1,000 guitars, you'll get lucky once. It's just the luck of it. So to me, what's great about Squier is it's not Squier. It is because obviously Fender doesn't make Squier. Squier is contracted out to a third party that makes the guitars for Fender, and then Fender uses their quality assurance, their standards in the industry, and their size of their company to impose might on those third party companies to build the best guitars. So what should happen is, here's my guess. If I was to take three brands, let's say two smaller off-brand companies that make Strat style guitars and Squier, and put all three in a row and put 20 guitars deep each one, I would expect that out of the 20, let's say, for the analogy, 18 of the Squiers were good. And of the next brand that was a little less money than the Squiers, 16 of the 20 was good. And the last one, maybe 12 of the 20 were good. So the reason I'm kind of taking this way of talking to you this way, Inkofish 23, is because when somebody says, oh yeah, I picked up a Squier and it was really good. You know what? Yes, I have a Squier. I have a Bullet, Squier Bullet. It's been in videos before. It's in my other room. That guitar is amazing. And I didn't just make it amazing. I didn't set it up. I mean, I did, but I mean, it's just one day I picked up a guitar and it was just fantastic. So yeah, you can buy Squiers. I have picked up Squiers that can blow away, guitars that are $3,000. And then people go, but that's not something I could say. If you go buy a Squier, it's better than a $3,000 guitar. I'm saying that it's possible because they can put everything together right. And so, yeah, I think the Affinity Strats are great guitars. I like the feel of the neck. And then every once in a while, just, the right piece of wood, the right day, the right employee, you know what I mean? Just everything aligns and the guitar is even better than normal. So that happens. Yeah. And I've seen it, and I own a couple. So, the majority of my collection are guitars that I've just found over time that just speak to me because they're great. In fact, I have a mini. It's just because it's right here. God, I don't know how to point that. I'm going to point right there. There it is. Ta-da. There's a mini Jackson right there. I've did a video of it. I have it. And there's a lot of great mini Jacksons out there and so many cool colors. And this one just plays amazing. You know what I mean? It's just something about it. The cut of the neck is different too. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little flatter. It just feels good. And I could pick up 20 mini Jacksons right now and they will all be pretty good. I'd be impressed with them all, but that one just shined a little better than the rest. So that happens. Sometimes in a world of that's trying to be consistent, inconsistencies still happen. But inconsistencies can be blessings or curses, right? Sometimes it could be the worst thing you ever picked up, and sometimes it can be the best. So Daryl McMillan says, just bought a Jackson Minion for my nephew. I set it up like your video, and it's great to play. Yeah, they kill, man. Those little Minion Jacksons. If there's a guitar that if you're looking for a mini guitar, I don't know how you're going to beat the Minion Jacksons. I love the micros by Ibanez and the Fender Squire little minis are cool. And of course, there's tons of little mini guitars out there. There's Epiphones. But to me, just nothing beats those little Jacksons. I don't know why Jackson's got that so dialed in. A lot of it probably has to do with the fact that the guy who's running Jackson, which is John Romanowski, was I think a VP at Ibanez, or he was integral in the part Ibanez. He's in I have the history of Ibanez's book, and he's in that. So he rated enough to be in their book. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when he left Ibanez and started to work for Jackson, two things immediately happened. All of a sudden, Jackson really got heavy into the 7-string and 8-string movements that Ibanez was definitely dominating with them and LTD and Schecter. And I also don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden Jackson had a line of competitive mini guitar products out there. And I think if I was going to give a guess, he probably used the might of Fender's force. In other words, the Fender's such a large company to make really good product. He probably went to the factories that, that make these mini guitars and said, hey, if you want to make these Jacksons, if you want to get the Fender biz, you're going to make the product the way we want. But whatever he did it right, because those mini Jacksons they're not only great for kids, like I said, you bought one for your nephew. They're great I use mine for travel. So fantastic. I upgraded my keys. I have locking keys on there. Go to locking keys. Everything else is stock. I left everything alone. I actually swapped out the pickups. You'd have to go through all my videos, which I don't recommend you do. But in some video, you'll see I have it and I have DiMarzios in it. I yanked them out and put the stock pickups back. I like the stock pickups better than the DiMarzios because they were bassier and fuller sounding, the stock pickups, and the guitar, because it's kind of a small guitar, just gave it a fuller sound. So I want to put some aftermarket pickups in it for the fun of it, but the stock pickups are great. So sometimes that's even better is when you find that, guitar that's, $150 new street price and there's really nothing to do to it. And the locking keys, that's my opinion. I just like locking keys for the speed of how fast I can restring. I didn't need them because I thought the current keys were bad. Gunky Zip says, any chance of a Rhoads V Know Your Gear t-shirt? Yeah, I can tell you this, Gunky Zip. There'll be a Know Your Gear t-shirt in every guitar. Something that happens that's nice is not only do we make the monthly ones and stuff, but so the patrons, I don't, like I said, we have to figure out what to call them. I think we call it the friends, right? What do we call it? The crew. Oh yeah, the crew. So there's patron levels, and I have these things called the crew. They support this live show, and there's only so many slots, and they pay a pretty good penny to help this channel out. And one of the benefits they get is custom t-shirts. But what's nice is from those custom t-shirts, my wife making the custom t-shirts, we're building a catalog of all the different guitars and stuff to think of. So then they eventually become made to the public, those styles of guitars. That's how we got the Music Mans and all those other styles. So yeah, that'll happen. Craig, awesome. Craig said, try the Dava Picks, and they're amazing. Thanks. I reached out to Dava Picks. If anyone wants to reach out to them for me, and said, hey, look, I want to hand out picks at these restring events, and I use Davas. I would really like to hand out some Davas to everyone to kind of promote the Dava brand, but I haven't heard back from them. So if anyone ever, if you guys are interested in Davas and you buy Davas and you want to reach out to them, I'm not asking for sponsorship from Dava. So, I'm not asking for money or free picks from me. I'm just want to help promote the Dava by giving picks away. So if you bought Dava Picks, maybe if you email them and say, hey, I liked them and I bought them because of me, that might help me do that, because the picks, for me, picks aren't, like I said, it's not a promotional thing. I want to get any kind of sponsorship. That's silly. What I just want to do is, like you try these picks because I mentioned them. I want to be able to say, I want to mention them and hand them out and give them to people. Maybe put them in with my sticker packs, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Help promote the brand, but also give some away. It's a great way to try a pick because their picks aren't cheap. It's like $3-4 for 6 of them. So Laguna Palm says, just bought a new P rails. Just bought a new, to me, P rails. What do you think of them? P rails are great. If you guys aren't familiar with P rails by Seymour Duncan, it's a pickup it's a humbucker, but it also has a, hold on a second, let me go back. It's a humbucker that has a single coil and a P90. So if you, and so you know, what I would recommend, I love the P rails with the switching system. You can get the Seymour Duncan's. I have a video. It's one of my first videos I ever did on my channel. The Seymour Duncan makes a pickup ring that has dip switches on it, and you can actually select on the switches a P90, a single coil, or a humbucker. So you get all the options. It's great. So that pickup is fun. So if you ever want to install a pickup in your guitar that can be either a P90, a single coil, or a humbucker, that's a fast, easy way to do it. And it's and you need no expertise to install this pickup. So just a little bit of soldering ability. So, and that might be a good way to segue into, because I have all these announcements, to mention that I want to just say this because it was an amazing thing that happened to me. Because of the Sharp Max videos, because of the videos I do, that I've been such a promoter of Stu Mac. Stu Mac sent me a ton of stuff to give away to you guys. I mean, legit stuff, like expensive, nice tools. They just said, hey, would you like to give your audience a bunch of stuff? And they sent it to me. So we're going to be doing giveaways. I'm going to be involving them with the Sharp Maxes and do stuff. I just want to shout out to them. That was just really crazy cool of them out of nowhere to do that. I mean, this you'll see when you see what I start giving away. This is going to be tools that a lot of you guys probably are going to be like, wow, I wanted it, but I couldn't afford it, or I couldn't justify the price for it. Great stuff. In fact, I was showing Lawrence today, and I think even he was shaking his head at how much they sent me and what it was. It was an impressive haul of stuff to give away. So I'll have to figure that out. I'll be working on that. That's one thing that's nice about the Patreon crew. They help me with decisions like that. So we'll be talking about that for those crew members watching. You can see them because they have little wrenches next to their names now. Shouldn't have said that to you, but maybe you guys will see it, but that's what they do. Okay. So this is kind of cool. I get to make my announcements. Yeah. See, Brian Stewart's like, I love Stu Mac. I hate their shipping costs. Yeah. Well, yeah. I love it when people are, here's the funny part. I love when people are like, Stu Mac, Phil, they're expensive. Yeah, no kidding. Every time somebody goes on my videos and says, Phil, do you know Stu Mac, Phil, they're expensive. I have bought almost every Stu Mac tool. So don't tell me they're expensive. I already know. I feel your pain. Trust me. And like you guys, where I can buy products that are not Stu Mac, that are comparable to Stu Mac and save some money, I make that decision. And sometimes, I've learned, like some of you guys, that some of the Stu Mac products are better than the comparable products. You have to learn. Not everything's easy. But I will tell you this: when somebody says, it's just personal experience with me. When somebody says they had a Stu Mac product and it didn't have a great experience, I wanted to share a crazy experience happening a couple years ago. I bought a Stu Mac product and didn't have a great experience. And I just put a review of it not on my channel. I'm talking about like literally, I put it on their thing where you review their product. And man, those guys are fast to take care of you. So Steve Cook says, what do you think of Wiggins pickups? Wiggins is my friend and his pickups are amazing. And I got nothing bad to say about them. I have a set of them in my Squire Bullet in the other room. Fantastic pickups. I highly recommend them. You cannot buy a better pickup for that price by a handmade artisan than Wiggins. There's just no end. And he's one of the nicest people I know too. There's just no end to it. And he's another person like Lawrence Petros, where and the Pedal Pal Effects guys too. There's a lot of people I can put in this thing. I was buying their products and became their friend. You know what I mean? It's not I'm their friend, so I'm like telling you to buy their stuff. I literally, met them the correct way. In other words, I like their stuff and then became their friend. So when I tell you they're good people, I'm not telling you to buy their products because they're good people. I'm telling you to buy the good products because they're good, and then meeting them have to be good people. And funny story, I could say the opposite for some products. I have some products where I still love their products, but I don't like the people. So it happens both ways. Oh, Zims. So Dane's saying, got a pickguard with loaded with Wiggins. Yeah, of course. I keep telling myself, eventually I want to order a set of Wiggins. I want to get an HSH, so humbucker, single humbucker from him to install in a guitar I have. And the only reason I haven't reached out is because he does make them by hand. So, it's not like you call him and he has them always in stock. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. But also, I got to get time to do that instead of been doing this other stuff. So there you go. Let's go back. I want to button up some questions that are also pinning over on the other side too. Okay. All right. So I don't know how to say it. PYRICYNT Music. Love the show since 2015. Thanks, buddy. That's basically when it started. That right? I started putting videos out in 2015. Could you please spell out my brand name? Man, PYRICYNT. Fender Twin is humming like crazy, needs a bias. Thanks, Phil. So, okay. So, but what is the brand name for? It's like your brand name, but what is it? Second attempt. Love the show. Could you please spell out my name? Yeah, I'll spell your name. PYRICYNT. Mostly because I got to Google it and figure out what it is. All right. Maybe it'll be, is it a we'll have to figure out what you do. So Andrew says, do you ever get into the market for brands that are not mainstream or $1,000 plus? Oh yeah, of course. Andrew, I'm all over the place. I don't pick things based on a price. I pick things. That's sometimes why, sometimes when I warn you guys, sometimes the logic that I use is not always logical. You know what I mean? There's two sides of the coin that I live in. There's a logic that hey, I know what's good quality. I know what's a good price to pay for stuff. That's just being in the industry for a little while. You start figuring out things just like any industry. And then there's just emotional connections that I have to stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. Yeah, of course. So like I said, my guitars, I like guitars. I play that Dane Electro for $400 all the time. I love that. In fact, I love that $400 Dane Electro as much as any guitars in that rack. That's why it's in the rack. So that's the rechange in the room. Everybody's like, hey, change the room. We've talked about this a couple times. Everything in the room now that you see, it's the opposite it was before. If you guys heard me before, you heard me say, because if you've been watching the live show, you heard me say, if it's in this room, the old room, I don't play it. I play in the other room. Well, I've decided to change things. So now if it's in the room, this is what I play. I play the Princeton. Obviously, I was playing, it was down there below, but now it's up there. That's because I was playing the Hughes and Kittner. I'm playing the Tremonti amp right now. I play in the Supro. These are the guitars in the rack I play. These are the guitars on the wall I'm playing right now. This is the stuff I'm playing. So now in the room, instead of being the stuff that, like I had all the pedals, but the pedals, I wasn't playing them. That's why they were on shelves. They were there for demonstration purposes. Now I can tell you if it's in the room at that moment, it's because this is where I'm playing now. I'm trying to enjoy this room instead of it be this backdrop for YouTube. I just, I just don't want it. I don't want it to be that anymore. This is where I'm playing. The mood lighting is for me. I like the blue lights. I come in here, I calm. It's relaxing. I needed this to be a joy for me again. I like making videos. I love interacting with the community. I love building this community that we're building. Obviously, you can tell that's something I have a passion for. But also, more importantly, if I don't enjoy this stuff, I'm going to quit. So that's just that's just the reality. And I didn't want to get to a point where that happened. I didn't want to be that person that said, hey guys, thanks for the, it was fun, but I'm done. DRB says, DRB. Hey Phil, how did you like the Marshall 2061X? I watched your video, but didn't hear a lot of the Marshall tone. I like the Marshall 2061. I actually own two. I sold it and then I bought it again, another one, and then I sold it again. The 2061 is a great amp. It's just for me. Here's what I figured out for me. And you're saying the 2161X. Hold on a second. This is where it gets a little tricky for me. Hold on one second, guys. We'll go into extra innings because of this. Because sometimes the 2061X, okay, is the amp. Because I have the cabinet too. So the 2061 cabinet. So the 2161X, so you guys know, is a 20-watt Marshall head. And I've had it. I've done videos of it. I loved it. Here's what I decided for me. And I think a friend of mine put it in perspective. It versus the Marshall Class 5, it blows the Class 5 away. It's a legitimate Marshall amp. It sounds fantastic, but it turned down quiet. You can't tell the difference. So I use the Marshall Class 5. I have it in the corner when I want that quiet little Marshall-y thing. A lot of people don't like the Class 5. A lot of people do. You know, it's what it is, but that's what it is for me. It's an expensive amp, and then I end up selling it. And I can tell you why I sold it. I sold it and bought a Friedman. I haven't looked back since. I love Marshall. I've always loved Marshall. I have a bunch of Marshall cabinets. I'll never not be a Marshall fan, but to be honest with you, I wish Marshall would have been Friedman. I wish Marshall would do what Friedman does. I think Friedman is a better Marshall for the market today. And when I mean that, I don't mean they sound better than Marshalls. Maybe they do. I don't know. But marketing wise, I like having like the PT20 and the RT, the Runt 20 amps that are something that I can use. You know what I mean? Getting a JCM 800 sound in the bedroom without literally tearing the paint off the walls is a nice thing to do. You know, I was just telling a friend the other day, I'm thinking about getting a JBM again, 205, because I've given up. I thought all these years you think Marshall would have made a 25-watt JBM, but they're not. I don't know. If they do it now, it's 5 years too late. Alti H, hey, don't know if you answered this, but what's your opinion on active pickups, EMGs in particular? I am not a huge active pickups user. And what I mean by that is they're fine. They sound great. There's nothing wrong with active pickups. There are 1,000 things right with the way they sound. In other words, they don't make noise. They are very controlled. They have a very polished sound, especially for metal. They do really good, and jazz really good as well. I have EMGs in my Schecter guitar, and I constantly think about putting another set of EMGs in another guitar. But ultimately where I come to play or come to every time is they're just not the sound that I'm going after. So I like EMGs. I just don't love them. And by that meaning, I like them. I like the quality. I like the way they sound, but it's not the sound I'm going after. So that's why I don't use them, but love them. I wish I would have put a set of the like the Kirk Hammett's in one of my Strats. I've done so many crazy things in my Strats, but I don't know why I never did that. It does so many customers, and I don't know. Probably should do it. So plus there's something mental with EMGs. Like, you know, I don't know. It's like they sound fantastic. I don't know why I don't love them more than I do. Reggie Wooten says, what do you think of the new JP, of your new Music Man JP? Thanks for the tip on the contact cleaner that fixed my JP 1000. Awesome. Great. Yeah, contact cleaner is like everything. My JP, so it's not in the room. It's missing. And if you guys recall last week, I bought a used Music Man JP6. It's the reason it's not here. It's in my shop. I'm putting new pickups in it. So I'm hopefully going to show you guys the new guitar with the new pickups. So, so what do I think of it? You know, here's the funny part. I thought I didn't like it. I thought I was actually falling out of love with it really quickly within the first week. And then the other night, it just kind of playing it going, man, no, I think I like this. But really, I need to put those new pickups in it because that's part of the, you know, that's the reason I bought it. Okay, and then we're going to do some more questions, but I just want to make, okay, we talked about the shirt event. We talked about Cheddar. We talked about the stickers. Then thinking you guys, oh, you know what? We're good on announcements. Just a reminder, because my wife always asks me to remind you guys, the shirt of the month is the Offset, guys, which is the Jazzmaster Jaguar shirts, so style shirts. So I'm just letting you know, just because as you guys know, we only do those shirts for 1 month. And the whole idea behind that is if you're going to get a shirt, you might as well have a shirt that's more personal to you and also more unique. So something to just to mention. And okay. Dr. Noberson says, Bruce Egnator says, Dave Friedman all stole his ideas from when they worked together in Detroit. I don't know. It's possible. So, you know, to me, though, the only problem is Dave Friedman's amps. Dave Friedman is definitely a guy, so you know, that I hear horrible and good stuff about all the time. I think that's real common. What I mean by that is people are like, I can't believe people like his amps. His amps are just Marshalls. I get all that stuff too. But here's the funny part. I am a fan of Egnator amps and Friedman amps for sure. And I think they're a lot different sounding. Now, I know Egnator Bruce is doing those classes now where he's doing the hand-wired kind of more Marshall-esque amps. I'm hoping to do something with him, interact with him. He reached out to me, but I haven't heard back from him about doing some kind of maybe interaction about that. I would love to maybe build one of those amps or review one of those amps for you guys and talk about that class. I love the idea of these classes. I'm going to tell you guys, Egnator, you can go to his class like $1,500 and learn to build an amp and keep the amp. And that stuff to me is worth its weight in gold to get, you know, to learn how to do something, to have an experience. It's great. It's like a vacation and getting an amp. It's like two things in one. So that's curious. You know what? I'm sure I'll be talking to Bruce sometime soon, and maybe that's something I'll ask him about. I don't know. I kind of got the impression they're friends, but I don't know. I don't know, because I know they both work with Boutique Amp Distribution, which is the same company. So I know they're integrated that way. Who knows? I thought they kind of worked together. But that would explain it if Bruce has I don't know if he stole his ideas, but I know they work together. But who knows? What else do we got? Okay, so PYRICYNT Music says, hi again, Phil. It's spelled PYRICYNT. Yeah, one word. It's my band name. Oh, okay, I got you. Could you explain tube biasing and how much I should pay a tech to do it? Oh, man, that's a tough question. I don't know how much, I don't know what the going rate for tube biasing is. That I can't answer. My problem is I have a couple friends that are amp builders that will bias my amps for free. So the last couple of issues I've had with amps, I have somebody that I'm out of touch that I can't speak to because I have somebody that will do it for me. You know what I mean? Because I usually do stuff for other people and then they don't mind, you know, hey, I'll do that for you because you've done this for me kind of thing. So we barter. So, but I will find out. I will find out what they charge. Maybe that's an interesting thing. What else? So that's something we'll look into. Maybe I would rather, instead of doing a video about that, I would rather find one of those. Maybe Bruce Egnator. Maybe he will want to come on the show and talk about it. That'd be cool. If you guys think that's cool, put that in the comments. I'm sure Bruce will do it too. I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe I can reach out to him and get him to do that. That'd be great. I'd love to have him on the show. He could talk about his class and he could talk about biasing amps and, you know, we could get stuff like that. I would rather pull on people onto the show that are more expert in those areas than I am. So amps are a funny thing. They kill people. So I don't like to talk about anything that I'm not heavily versed in that I know can cause you irreparable damage. I don't want to be like, yeah, stick your finger in there. You'll be fine. So I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. Okay. There was another question. It says, Andrew says, got some DeOxit this week on your recommendation. Yeah, you'll love this stuff, man. DeOxit is, I think it's funny. It's like some people look at it like, well, how do you not know about DeOxit? Everybody uses it. But I remember the first time, decades ago when somebody's like, use this. And I was like, oh, it's great. It's like the first time you realize like, oh, you don't have to take that in for service. You can just clean it out. So DeOxit is awesome. Hosa Technologies here too. They'll probably attest to that too. DeOxit is. So I go through cans of the stuff. I have cans of it here. Think about this. I have cans of DeOxit. Like, yes, you tend to have to clean stuff. That's for sure. Okay. What else do we got going on? Roll 69 Rocket says, can you do a Telly shirt? We did it. It was a couple months ago. But so I have no idea what's going on. I haven't looked at the shirt campaigns in a while, but I got an impression there's a bunch of shirts on there now that are like that. So I don't know. I should probably look, but I don't know. Zilla says, any update on ordering the Kiesel? I don't know if you guys saw this. Tell me what you guys think about this. I don't want to stir up controversy, but Kiesel, I watched Jeff Kiesel the other day. He did a live show and he was saying that basically Kiesel's so backed up they can't even get to the orders, and they're like making 800 guitars, and I watched the whole thing, and he's like, oh, we're killing, we can't even handle the workload we have. And he basically said because of that they've had to make some decisions, and one of the decisions they made was that they are not going to, they don't, instead of shipping the guitars that are first ordered, they're going to ship the guitars that have been paid for in full. So if you put a deposit on a guitar and your guitar, like let's say 2-3 months ago, and you're waiting for guitar to be done, but somebody bought a guitar like a month ago but they paid for it up front, they're going to ship the paid for up front first. I don't want to quote him exactly on that. He might be just saying that if you bought around the same time and you paid in full, yours is first. But either way, he said guitars that are already paid for will just get shipped out, and guitars that have deposit will get pushed back a little bit. And that pushed me off a little bit, so because I had no intention of paying them until the guitar was done. One thing I don't like to do when ordering custom guitars is, let's say the guitar is $1,500 and I have to put $300 down on it. I have no problem with that. And I have no problem pre-authorizing them to use the card. In other words, they can run my card the second it's done. But, I've had a couple experiences now in my life where I've prepaid for guitars and it didn't work out so great for me. So, and I don't mean that any singularly. I've had it multiple times now. You know what? I don't even want to go with guitars. I've had that experience with everything. It's like I prepaid people to work on my house and it's been a disaster. It's like I'm in the business in my mind now of, you get paid when I get my service. So with the Kiesel thing, that kind of pushed me off. I'm not upset about it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it kind of made me like, maybe they'll slow down a little bit or catch up. Either they got to hire more people and catch up to their workload, or they got to let the workload subside a little bit. So when that happens, that's what made me a little apprehensive, because I got the feeling if I order one, it's going to be months and months anyways. So we'll see. Tell me what you guys think about that. Because like I said, that was kind of a weird thing. You can watch it. I'll link the live show when I do the index, his live show, because it was a little odd. I don't know how to explain how I felt about it emotionally. It was really like, I understand they're doing great and I understand they're doing well, and I'm happy for them, obviously, but it was kind of weird. So if that makes any sense. To me, I guess I think of like all customers the same. So I thought that was kind of the hierarchy that he was associated. But I understand also, in business, you got to do what makes the money. I don't know. Like I said, curious to see your guys' thoughts. Definitely feedback on that would be great. Hi, HK says, hey, do you not like the Marshall Origin series at all? I will be trying them out tomorrow. No, you know what? I've never tried an Origin series. I don't know anything about them. I tried the new DSLs. I bought one. As you guys know, I didn't really enjoy that. There are no Marshall dealers where I live at all. For some reason, Guitar Center is listed as a Marshall dealer, even though I have 5 Guitar Centers in my area. There is no Marshalls to be found that I've seen. I want to try an Origin. I'd like to buy one if it's good. But I'm not ordering on one online. It's kind of like I already tried one. I already did that. And here's the problem. I already like the Friedman amps. I bought my Friedman amps. If I buy the Origin and I like it, let me give you an example. If I buy the 20-watt Origin amp and I like it, I'm going to sell my Friedman, because I'm not going to have 2 of the style amps the same. I don't have the room, or like I said, the financial to like stack this stuff up. I just can't have everything. That's the reality of money and space. But I just want to try one first. That's all. So I definitely would have ordered one if I ordered one. I regret it. So you guys, I regret everything in my body. I wish I wouldn't have ordered a DSL first. I wish I would have ordered the Origin. But after ordering the DSL and not enjoying it, it doesn't make me really want to try it. So I would love to hear your thoughts on it, though, HK. Let me know what you think. But that will help me. So Jeff says, I think Jeff Kiesel, hold on a second. I think Jeff Kiesel was frustrated with having a room full of finished guitars that they could not collect the balance on. Yeah, that's why it's a great point, Jeff. That is a very great point. And I could see where he seemed a little, yeah, I would say that's the point too. Maybe that's what it is, Well, that's why I don't understand. To me, maybe I don't understand how it works. To me, it should be simple. You want to buy a guitar like a Kiesel, it should be, you give them your credit card and they zap your card for 20% of it. And then when the guitar's done, they zap your card. You know what I mean? You pre-authorize it. And then if it declines, well, then they call you and say, hey, man, your guitar's, your money's not ready. And that's on you. You know what I mean? But because I don't know why you'd want a business model where you take 20% down, then you build somebody a custom guitar that nobody else is going to want but you, and then call you and get authorization. But maybe that's the way they did it. I don't know. Again, I've never ordered the Kiesel or Carvin, so I don't know how they do it. And then hold on a second. Jumped. Hold on. Some of you guys got some good points here. Dan says, even if Kiesel put on 50 new guys, they will need time to settle in and make good product. Oh, yeah, of course. If you want one, buy secondhand or wait 6 to 12 months. Yeah, I think that's what's going to have to happen. Yeah, that's what kind of was my realization with that, was it's either going to be a long process or I'm going to buy used. So in other words, I guess this is my whole thought on this was, if I'm going to wait almost a year for a guitar kind of thing, 6 to 12 months for a guitar, sometimes when I go, oh yeah, I'll do that today. That's what's happened to me a couple of times now. I go, I'm going to call Kiesel and film it and just not, call one of the reps and order a guitar. And then I go, well, I don't really have time today to do that, but I'll knock it out. And I go, well, even if I do it, it's going to be, half a year to a year before I get the guitar. What's another week waiting? So you push it back a little bit. So let's see. Dr. Noberson said Friedman is a Marshall clone and not a very good one. I think Friedman's better than Marshall in a lot of ways. That I own some Marshalls and Friedmans. The Friedmans are it depends. It's tough. Like, you know what I mean? To me, when I think Marshall, it depends on the Marshall you love, right? Like I like a Plexi a lot. The Plexi is one of my favorite amps. Somebody asked me what's my favorite amp ever in history. It's probably the Plexi. But I can't play a 100-watt Plexi in the bedroom. It's just nuts. I used to, so, the family didn't enjoy that. That was years ago, because even turned down the thing, and I put it on attenuator and just whatever. But anyways, a Plexi is great. I don't really see Friedman as a Plexi style Marshall. To me, Friedman is like the JCM 800s. They're like the more JCM 900s and 2000s, where they're a little more higher gain Marshalls, a little smoother, a little less fizz. There's some great things about them. It's just like Fender. I like Fender amps. Like I like Fender amps, and then I like some of the aftermarket amps. It's like I if you like one thing, doesn't mean you don't like another. I can like multiple things. So yeah, like Dennis saying, buy the JVM 205. Yeah, I didn't think about it. So Okay. On that note, I think we're gonna button this up. There's like a ton of us on here hanging out, but hold on. Let's do a couple things. Let me refresh this. And I want to reiterate one more time, just because I just want to let everybody know, remind you, if you're local and you're in the Phoenix area, you want to come say hi and get your guitar restrung and get an inspection done and all that stuff. Just like you kind of see me do on a Sharp Max. I'll fill out a sheet, give you a sheet to check out. So I just want to remind you that that's next Saturday. And I look forward to seeing you guys, the ones that get to come out. AJ said, whatever happened to Splon? Splons are great. So, but see, here's the problem again. The thing with Splon to me is like Wizard amps are fantastic too. You ever play one of those? There are great amps that are like Marshalls that are great. But I can't play, actually, what? I'll talk about this. Sammy Ash has a JCM 100. He said it was one of his favorite amps, but he's like, you can't play it at home. You can't play it like in the bedroom in the afternoon, without, pissing off everybody in the house. So, I know not every amp's about being a practice amp, but for me, it is almost at this point, because the majority amps I need to be practice amps. And when I do jam with friends, I want the amps to be portable. You know what I mean? I'm not bringing no Marshall half stack to go jam with some friends. I'm not taking 40 minutes to load in gear so I can play 4 songs and then leave. It's not practical for me. So again, everybody's got a different situation. They got to figure out what's, yeah. And then Dan says, Friedman are widely respected by pro players, including Phil X, high-level producers. Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything's got its place. There's definitely nothing wrong with Friedman amps. They're up there. Just like there's a ton of amps. Like I said, just because you like one amp doesn't mean, you know, just like I said, because I have a Friedman doesn't like a Marshall. I want Marshall to make more amps like the PT and the Runt, more high-end smaller amps. So maybe the Origin is that. Like I said, wouldn't it be funny if the Origin is everything I've been wanting and complaining about? Like I said, maybe I should try it. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to try it. All right, let's see. What else? Okay, Nick says, Phil, I have a Squire HSS, humbucker single, and a Mustang 1 amp, and I can make my Squire sound however I want. So why should anyone buy expensive? Because here's what I'm going to argue with that. Here's the thing. The argument with that is you're absolutely right. You could take, like for me, I use a rolling cube a lot. I have a rolling cube, and I could plug my Strat into a rolling cube, my Mexican Strat. I have a black Mexican standard Strat I use all the time. Plug in my rolling cube, and I play that for hours. I've done it. I do it. I'm fine. I'm happy with it. But so you understand, everybody's going to have a different opinion about this. But to me, like playing, I know the Princeton behind me, those are expensive over here. The Princeton's $1,000, $1,000 Princeton. And let's take, I don't know, pick a guitar behind me, take that SG. That's $1,000 at least, right? $1,500. That's a lot of money in guitars. I plug it in, and I would never tell anybody, but if you took an Epiphone and plugged it into a Mustang, man, that's horrible. It's not about horrible versus good. It's not good versus bad. It's better. It gets better as you go. And if you can't hear that it's better, well, that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that either. The problem is somebody was talking to me the other day. We were just talking about this. Somebody was saying, you know, because I like Mesas a little bit and Mesa Boogies, and I have a Mark V Mini, and somebody was like, they were talking about Petrucci and Tremonti and all these people like Mesa Boogies, and I go, but I have a Mesa Boogie because I like Bowling for Soup, and I like the band, and they use Mesas. So you got to figure out what works for you. The problem is that the problem is that it's exactly that. It's got to work for you. And then it's just different. RNA Music. Hey, buddy. What's up, Ryan? He says, we just need one of every amp out there. Well, if you need one of every amp, that's what Axe Effects and Kempers are for. So that's definitely the thing. See, me, I go through, like, I don't play every amp because I'm going and trying different amps and trying different tones. I go through phases. Like for weeks or months, I'll play like a Fender amp and I'm playing just clean. And then all of a sudden I want to play some rock. So I'll play another amp for rock. I mean, it's just how, you know, you jump around and you try stuff. So Brian says the MT15 is going to put Marshall small amps out of business. I don't agree, Brian. The MT15 is funny. The conversation we had today is going to be a wake-up call to the Mesa guys that they might have to look at some stuff, because it's definitely the Tremonti amp. The MT15 behind me is definitely in the Mesa Boogie vein of amps, and it's extremely well built and extremely inexpensive. So yeah, that's going to be tough. XDA something Knox says, will the Restring tour hit NYC or Long Island, New York? I don't know. What's happening is we're doing this one next week on the 28th. And here's what I can tell you. This is the trick with the Restring event. This is something that I decided I want to do. I concocted this. I said, hey, you know, it'd be fun. Wouldn't it be cool if I was in different areas and I said, hey, anybody that likes the channel, we can meet up and I'll restring your guitar and give you a thank you back for what you guys have given me. And you know, because I that's just what it is. I just want to thank you guys. You know, sometimes, you know, it's I enjoy doing the YouTube channel. Don't get me wrong, but let's be honest. There is a huge community of players out there. There are thousands and tens of thousands of Know Your Gear t-shirts out there. That's a lot of people who have supported this channel. That is insane. Okay. You know what I mean? There's like $250,000 of gross sales t-shirts out there. That's a nuts number. Now, I wish I could say I get to keep all that, but that's not the point. The point is that's a huge amount of support. You guys are amazing. So I'm like, okay, how do I thank you guys for this? Because this is crazy to me. This is 35 million views or 34 million views on the channel and 160,000 subscribers. You know, and given the fact that 3 years ago, I didn't even really know what YouTube was for the most part, it's a different reality for me. It's not like I aspired to have a channel where I hung out and talked with everybody about guitar all day. It just happened. I started talking about guitar and everybody started coming. We were all hanging out guitar. So this experience, I was like, how do I do this? How do I interact with you guys? How do I thank everybody for having this community and being with me and hanging out? And that's where the Restring event came out. What happened was, is that Matt's Music in Virginia was the first store, actually the only store, that reached out to me and said, hey, we'd love to do that. And then I was, before I decided to travel across the country and try to get some other stores to do this, I reached out to Sam Ash, and Sammy Ash, of course, has been awesome to the channel since the get-go, and said, hey, you have a store local. Can I do one of these there and see what happens? I don't know what's going to happen. What happens if 4 people show up and, you know, and I'm going to pay to fly across the country and do all this and no one's going to come? I don't know. Is there a way we can figure this out? And they've been very supportive about helping this. So to answer your questions, if you're curious to see if I'm going to come to your local area and we'll do this event, because that's what I'd like to do, just pay attention to what happens next Saturday. If it goes well, I have a feeling this is going to continue to go on for a while. You know, obviously, you know, this is a lot of work for me, but because I'm going to be working 10-hour days each door to accommodate this, you know, right, to get all this done. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is to get stores to help do this. And I know part of the problem is they don't know, you know, if you're a store, how can you help do this? Another thing I should point out too, maybe kind of sweeten the pot a little bit. You know, Sam Ash, when I told him, I said, I want to do this event, and they got Addario to sponsor it and pay for the strings. Sam Ash is also giving everybody who comes to the event 20% off any accessories or effects. And I think they're giving away some shirts, and there's going to be some promotional stuff also from Addario. So like, it's like, it should be fun. Like I said, if you guys come out, like, we're going to have, like I said, free stuff, discounted stuff. I mean, we all know 20% is a real discount. There's no like rules, you know, it's just accessories and effects. So if you're thinking about getting a pedal or some strings or some other stuff, I mean, you're getting a decent discount. So that's to answer that question. And then we'll do, since we're going way over, we'll do let's find one last question, good question to answer before we go. So this is not the question. This is just this is, are you going to Zim's Guitars? If you guys know Zim's Guitars in Mesa is Dane Zim. He owns a small little guitar shop that does use gear. As you guys know, I pop in there from time to time because, you know, he used to be a customized store, and he's in one of the Sharp Max videos. Great guy, great store. And yes, I would love to do a Restring event. I talked to him about this, but I wanted to do, you know, the Sam Ash one, so I can figure out how this works. And if Sam Ash likes it, they're going to help me kind of do this. So that's another thing that's going to help, which is nice. So there you go. Okay. This question has nothing to do with gear, but I love this question because you guys could help me answer it too. Robert Rodriguez says, hey, Philip, do you think the 80s glam hair metal will have a comeback? Because I think music today is total bull. You know, Robert, I don't know the answer, so I'd love to hear your guys' response. So right now, I'm sure if you guys will do a response when we repost this, what you guys think about that. You know, it's funny about today. This is what I think about music today, if that helps. For me, again, this is what I like. I think there's a lot of great music today. It's amazing. Every time I turn around, there's great music. But I think the good and bad is not, you could argue that the music's not as good as it used to be. That's a good argument. But one of the things, and I'm not saying that's not a valid complaint. I think there's some validity to that. Part of the problem is that everybody can readily get their music out there. So you're going to have to sift through more stuff, you know, just like we used to sift through records, right? And, you know, CDs and tapes. You go to the music store and remember this, you know, just going through and reading band after band after band. That's how you used to sift through stuff. You have to sift through stuff now by clicking, you know, through your internet. So there's a little sifting to get to the good music, but what I will say is that there's so much good music now too. Sometimes it's hard to identify that it's really unique and good, because it's really common to find great players now and great music. And on that vein, what I would suggest to you, Robert, is instead of saying, hey, there's no good music or will it come back, what I will tell you is this is, one of the things I think hurts us as guitar players and musicians is a good friend of mine, Larry, said this amazing thing. He said, if you only listen to music in your genre, you're never going to advance the genre. You're never going to be a player bigger than just playing in that genre. And one thing I've noticed that stinks about Spotify and what's the other, Pandora and all those, is you put in bands you like and it finds stuff that's just like that. Sometimes you got to figure out how to get recommendations outside of that vein of music. How do you get your brain, how do you get to hear stuff outside of what you're doing and what you already like? And then that way you get exposed to it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of great stuff out there. Even in hair metal, you know what I mean? There's a lot of new good stuff. So there you go. If that helps at all, I don't know. Who knows? All right, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. There was almost 900 of us. That was a lot of people. Got a lot of good questions, as always. Some suggestions already I see in the comments for great music to check out. So please, guys, repost that. I'm going to do the index later and we'll repost all that stuff as well. And I hope to see you guys at the Restring event. I want to thank everybody who supports the channel in every way you do. Like I said, there's so much support out there. It's always awesome. And I have some videos coming that I think you'll enjoy. And last little thing, if you didn't see the Restring tackle box video, check that video out, because that explains more about this whole event and what we're up to and why I'm doing all this stuff. And as always, guys, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until next Friday, I say know your gear.